All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Sandy Barr, and I'm the chapter director for Sierra Club's Grand Canyon chapter, which is the Arizona chapter. And if you were looking for a briefing on bills, you're in the right place. Um, if that's not what you're looking for, you're welcome to stay anyway, but you might be disappointed. Who knows? Anyway, just wanted to reiterate what tonight's session is about. Let's give a little bit of background on myself. I use she, her pronouns. I live here in Phoenix on traditional Acoma O'odham and Peepash lands. And I grew up in northern Michigan on traditional Ottawa lands, but have lived here most of my life. I love the Sonoran Desert. That's why I'm here, and I do love the people too. And I just had my 26th anniversary with Sierra Club, and I do a bunch of different things with Sierra Club.
It's interesting. Once
Whoop. Do you need, let's see, can I mute you, Nancy, for some reason? I should say if folks could keep yourself on mute until, you don't have to keep yourself on mute till the very end, but if you could just like raise your hand or something if you have a question. And I'm getting a bunch of feedback from, let's see, I might have to mute a few folks. Sorry. Okay, I think we're good. Also, center our work on the HEMES principles for democratic organizing, focusing on being inclusive and working together in solidarity and mutuality. And this is what I'm going to cover. I'm going to talk briefly about the environmental priorities for those who haven't already heard about them. Bills to support and oppose. I'll go over Environmental Day at the Capitol again because I think a few people may have questions about that. Volunteer lobbying, request to speak, and how you can sign up for legislative updates. I will take questions at the end, but I think it's fine to do this a little bit more informally. And so if you have questions as we go along, if you could just raise your hand or come off mute, just don't come off mute. And I just don't want people talking over each other. So just if that happens, just someone pause and let the other person go. So anyway, Trisha, you have a question already?
I do. I'm seeing the transcription and it's distracting. I just as soon not see it. And I cannot figure out how to not show the closed caption. So I'm guessing you have control of it.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too, Sandy. I can't get rid of it.
Let's see. See if that helps.
Done. Thank you.
Okay.
We also have a show caption option at the bottom of our screen, so you could turn it off just for yourself, I think.
I tried that many different ways, and I didn't seem to be able to do it. So that's why I thought maybe she had master control. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that setting was on. Okay, so anyway, this is what we're going to talk about. So on the environmental priorities, on January 3rd, a number of groups issued these environmental priorities for the legislature and governor. And we now are up to about 50 groups that have signed on to them. And not all of the logos are listed there. We will have a few more to add, but we just didn't get everybody's logo. but yeah, we have more than 50 organizations. And this year, we focused the priorities on water, but also included these other important priorities, but we crafted it in the context of water and just really wanted to do a focus on water and its significance this session, because it does seem like we really need to do something to address both our water quality and water quantity issues, and our laws are as filled with holes as an old leaky bucket, and they need to be updated and improve significantly to protect both our groundwater and our surface water and those areas where they meet. And you can see also acting on the climate crisis, addressing environmental injustice, restoring and protecting land, habitat, and wildlife, and ensuring access to democracy for all. We cannot have a healthy environment without a healthy democracy. So just a quick, more people, good. Just a quick overview on what's happened so far at the legislature. It started on January 8th. That is the second Monday in January. That the legislature always starts the second Monday in January. That's in the Constitution. What's not in the Constitution is when it ends. They try to limit the session to 100 days, but that has not happened recently. And last year they went until the end of July, so with a few breaks in between. So we don't really know when it will end. It kicks off with the State of the State. The governor delivered the State of the State. She focused on water, abortion, education, and the border. And she did say about water that if the legislature didn't act, she would. So one of the things we definitely want to emphasize with people is if the legislature doesn't take action on water, let's not stop there. Let's make sure we let the governor know that we expect her to act as she indicated. The governor put out her budget. It did include some funding for water quality. Our state has a number of impaired waters, and so she included funding in her budget to help address the backlog of addressing impaired waters and working on cleaning those waters up. And she limited how much money would go to the Water Augmentation Fund. And that was a fund that was originally established under Doug Ducey, and it over 3 years was to allocate $1 billion for a water augmentation project outside of the state of Arizona. And he particularly wanted a desalination project down in the Gulf of California. So it's good that those dollars are being pared back, because we would rather see the funding go into conservation. So far, the committees have been hearing some bad water bills, some bad transportation bills, some bad anti-environmental, social, and governance guidance bills. And also, so far, they have not been hearing any of the positive bills that we would like to see go through. But that doesn't mean that we're giving up. So let me talk a little bit about some of the bills that we will be lobbying on. the list that we included on the water fact sheet that was shared with you all is not a comprehensive list of all the water bills. There are a lot of them. It's a selection of a few. And if you happen to see a water bill that you think is important, I would encourage you to mention it in your meetings. So don't feel like you can only mention these bills in your meetings. Likewise, don't feel like you have to mention all of the bills, and also that you have to be an expert on water and water law to express concerns or support about bills. So these two bills are actually a couple of bills to support. They would help to limit groundwater pumping in additional parts of the state beyond the active management areas. And active management areas, again, those are areas that are established for limiting groundwater pumping, and outside active management areas and outside irrigation non-expansion areas, anything goes. So that's one of the areas that we would like to see some significant improvements, and that is an area the governor has been focusing as well. And then also in the support category is this Watershed Health Bill 2357. This is a bill that Coalition, the Sustainable Water Network, has been working on for the last 4 years. And it is an attempt to see more water in our rivers and provide a mechanism for leaving more water in rivers to sustain ecological flows. And it actually allows people who have water rights to transfer those water rights to the river. So something that we think shouldn't be controversial, but unfortunately something that we have not been able to get a hearing for. And so part of the ask is to have members put some pressure on Representative Gail Griffin and Senator Sina Kerr, the chairs of the House and Senate Natural Resources, Energy, and Water Committees, because they are the gatekeepers on this. And then here are a few water bills to oppose. So Representative Griffin has a fair number of bad water bills. And one of the things that she's really going after is trying to limit what happens when new active management areas are established. And one of the reasons she is trying to do that is people in Douglas, for the first time, established a new active management area, and they did that through the initiative process. The governor's office could direct the Department of Water Resources to also establish new active management areas. So Representative Griffin is really trying to get some limitations in place for these new AMAs. And what that would do is allow more pumping. This, the first one, 2061, would basically allow an active management area to no longer be one. And that is bad news, because if you establish an active management area, you put in place conservation, and then you say, oh, okay, now it's working. We're not seeing as much land subsidence and other things that happen with overpumping of groundwater. And then you remove those protections, then you'll just go back to what caused it to be designated in the first place. So that's why that's a bad one. 2123 just prohibits measuring devices on wells that are near surface waters, because this would be a way of finding out who is pumping how much water that should be going in the river. And if they're pumping groundwater and they don't actually have a right to river water, then those pumps could be shut down. And so that is Representative Smith's bill. He is vice chair of the House Natural Resources, Energy and Water Committee. And then the last bill on this list, the Harquahala non-expansion area. The Harquahala Valley is way west Maricopa County and eastern La Paz County. And that area has been identified as a sacrifice zone for groundwater pumping. And what this bill would do, 2201, is it would allow private interests to import water from that valley, entities like EPCOR, and that would basically further this area being a sacrifice zone and contribute to overpumping of groundwater in that area to feed development inside the Phoenix and Pinal active management areas. So we have opposed that bill. It's been around for a long time, and they didn't try it last session, but they're bringing it back again this year. There are a couple of environmental justice bills to support. Some people may remember 2295, environmental permitting burden communities, from last session. It has been introduced again this session by Representative De Los Santos and will also be introduced by Senator Mendez. It defines overburdened communities, and then it requires that there be environmental justice impact statements, specifically looking at the impacts to these communities from any kind of air, water, or waste permitting. And it goes a step further. So sometimes we see bills that just say you have to tell us how bad it is. This bill says that the Department of Environmental Quality can deny permits because of disproportionate impacts to these communities, predominantly communities of color, and that it can also place conditions on them. So it empowers the agency to do more. And then HCR 2015 is a constitutional amendment to a clean environment, basically. And the language in this bill, I should say there are some states that have in their constitution the right to a clean environment. And in those states is where there has been some success with the climate challenges that have been brought by young people. They actually have constitutional provisions that those lawsuits are based on. So it'd be nice to have that in Arizona's constitution, and this is a bill that would refer that to the ballot. So I don't know if either of these will get a hearing, but we do intend to keep talking about them and promoting these provisions. And if the legislature doesn't act, encouraging the governor to do more via executive order. Climate and clean energy bills, there are a couple to support. 2397 repeals a provision that prohibits state agencies from measuring and reducing greenhouse gas emissions unless the legislature has specifically said they can. And of course, the legislature generally doesn't say that. So they, their hands are, while maybe not totally tied, they certainly, it hinders their ability to do more on climate. And then there isn't a bill number yet, but Senator Mendez is going to reintroduce the Arizona Climate Resiliency Planning Group. And that requires coordination among the state agencies to develop a climate resiliency plan and ensure that we are protecting the resiliency of our communities. The governor does have an Office of Resiliency that is doing some of this, but this would really make sure that the state agencies were also involved. Right now, just the Office of Resiliency is working on that. And so I think it would provide a little bit more coordination. And then some energy bills to oppose. There are a bunch of bills really targeting solar. Representative Griffin, again, is not a big fan of solar. I'm sorry, it looks like there's a little bit of a typo in that one, but 2130 authorizes counties to limit the area available for energy production. And this is a bill that is targeting solar and wind. So, are you okay, Trisha?
Yes, just laughing.
Okay. Got it. I see your little smiley laughing face though. I was like, okay. Anyway, I should let folks know that Representative Griffin is, Representative Griffin is represents Trisha at the legislature. So
She most definitely does not.
All
but
right,
she's
well,
my representative.
represents your district, yes. Okay. 2133 is a bill that puts a tax on solar panels. And she tries to frame this one as a disposal fund, but it really is just a tax on the panels. People aren't going around dumping solar panels in the desert. If she's wants to limit something where there's a huge problem with disposal, she ought to put it on, old TVs and things like that, because that's what I see out in the desert, and usually all shot up. But anyway, there's really not a big issue with, how these are disposed, and she's just trying to create more impediments for solar. 2192 is the livestock interest looking for more payment for really what is state trust land and not their operations. It's not their land. If a solar or wind project reduces the size of the operation, they would have to compensate them. And then 2281 and 1066 are both royalties. And again, it's another tax on solar panels bill. I think they're trying to not have the utilities oppose, because I think the utilities will oppose 2133 because it applies to them as well. But 2281 and 1066 don't apply to utilities, and so I think that's why they put that in there. But yeah, it's just another tax. 1066 will actually be heard in committee on Environmental Day that morning in the Senate Natural Resources, Energy and Water Committee. So I encourage people to sign in against that. And, you know, if anybody wants to, you would miss part of the program, but if you want to speak on it, I certainly encourage that as well. And then 2646 is a bill that requires 5 years notice for shutting down fossil fuel power plants. And we don't really object to having notice and even 5 years notice, except for the fact that we already should be shutting down most of these coal plants, certainly in less than 5 years. And so that notice requirement is a bit of a problem, but the way it's crafted. But the bigger issue is this bill is targeted at objecting to federal laws, and actually tells the Attorney General that if the Corporation Commission asks the Attorney General to intervene against any federal laws or rules that result in closures of these plants, then she has to do that. So that's not something we like either. There are some federal rules that could contribute to an earlier closure of some of these plants, including a rule where there's a carbon standard for power plants, for coal and gas plants. And so I think that's one of the rules they may be targeting. So that's one, if it moves forward, we'll oppose to, and we added that to the list. And then just a little bit on the democracy bills. I'm just checking how I'm doing on time. Oh, doing all right. There are a few good democracy bills, including repealing the limits on someone helping out their neighbor by delivering their early ballot for them. That ought to be something that we thank people for instead of prosecuting them for. And I know it's something that I did before it was unlawful, is when I was out canvassing, I would run into people, especially, you know, when it got close to election day, who had not mailed their early ballot, and I would offer to drop it off for them. So, and this would repeal those provisions. My guess is that won't get a hearing, but, you know, again, let's keep it out there and remind people that that, you know, there are some measures in place that really do hinder people's ability to vote. There's a same-day voter registration bill. If someone can show that they've been a resident for the last 29 days, then they can register to vote the same day as voting. And then automatic voter registration, which would be administered through motor vehicles, provides for automatic registration of people who are qualified to register when they finish their driver's license application or their application for non-driver identification. So those are a few good bills. There, again, are lots and lots of bad voter bills, and I can't share them all here, or we can't even talk about them all on Environmental Day, but just a few that have been introduced and look like they might move are 2065 would mean all early ballots have to be in by 5 p.m. on the Friday before the election. So this would eliminate voters' ability to drop off their early ballots on election day. And just also, again, be a little bit more of a problem for some of the rural areas where sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get things delivered. And then voting center bans, there's also bills to ban drop boxes again as well. These measures are just having voter centers, having drop boxes for ballots. It's a way to accommodate more people and get more people to vote. And it also can help limit how long the lines are on election day. So trying to eliminate those is nothing more really than voter suppression. And then HCR 2001 and SCR 1011, this is a measure, it would amend the Constitution, and it would say that someone has to be a citizen and at least 18 years old and qualified registered voter to vote in any Arizona election. This would effectively prohibit local government from being able to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections, which does happen in some states. And it would also, it has some provisions, and I'm not sure if they can even get away with it because these are two different provisions in one measure, but it also says that you can't vote for more candidates than the number of offices to be filled. So what that does is it's a backdoor way of eliminating ranked choice voting. So it would make it so we couldn't do ranked choice voting as well. And then HCR 2032 is the same as 2547, except it's a referral instead. So any of these referrals, these HCRs or SCRs, the governor has no say on those. They would go straight to the ballot versus go up to her for her veto. So they are a little bit of a problem. All right, that just brings us to Environmental Day. And just a reminder, it's Thursday, registration's at 8:30, and then we have a program with various activities between 9 and 2. If you RSVP'd, you should have gotten an agenda. If you didn't, then let me know. I'll put my email in the chat before we wrap up. RSVPs are going to close tomorrow. So if you haven't RSVP'd, please do. If people come on Environmental Day and they didn't register, we are not going to turn people away, but we probably won't have enough food for everyone, and also you know, enough like packets and things like that, but we of course won't turn anyone away. It is just better if people register. We have a lot of great speakers lined up to talk primarily about water, but there are a few that will be talking about democracy, and we'll go over a few of the bills and also talk about what is on the committee agendas in case anybody wants to stop and observe any of the committees that day. And these committees, these are really a great opportunity to have your voice heard. So if you are willing to speak, you can sign up via the request to speak system, and you can talk about some of the bills that we just talked about. If you don't like public speaking, You can still use request to speak. You don't have to speak on that system. And register your support or opposition for bills. So this is just a screenshot of the request to speak system. And if anyone has more questions on it, I can answer those at the end. But if you haven't set up an account, I encourage you to use that create an account tab and set one up. You won't be able to sign in on bills until you activate it at the Capitol or have somebody activate it for you. They still require at least one visit to the legislature to activate these accounts. And then you can also sign up for these legislative updates that I send out on Fridays, and they provide you with information on what to act on and bills to sign up for on request to speak. And then kind of the key bills that we're watching that are in committee and links for how you can watch those. And that is what I have. It looks like Dre has a question. I think that was the first hand I saw. So Dre, did you want to just come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, thanks so much, Sandy. So I signed up to ride the bus, and from Tucson, I don't believe that I have gotten details on the logistics for where to meet and when.
You should have gotten a memo today. Did you check your email today? Whoops.
I will double check. I'm pretty much on my email all the time, but I will double check and let you know if I don't. Is there someone else I should contact, Nick, or
It's
somebody?
the person who's coordinating it is Isaiah Courtwright. Isaiah is with Tucson Audubon. So either Isaiah or David Robinson, I can go ahead and forward. If you send me a note, I'll forward you the memo that Isaiah sent out today, and then I will let them know that you didn't get it.
Thank you.
I think I remember seeing you on the list, so I feel like you should have gotten it, but
Oh, there it is. I'm so glad you mentioned the name. Great, thank you. I think I'm good.
all right, that makes me feel
Beautiful. Yeah.
good because it's like
Things are actually working according to plan.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else from Tucson that has any questions about the Tucson bus or that? I know it's leaving the historic Y at 6:30, so.
And
Yeah.
David Robinson just reported a couple of hours ago that there might still be a few seats left.
I think it's pretty full. There might be one.
Okay.
I just sent him a note. Oh, that's right. No, I think two people just canceled. So that may be why. Yeah, two people just canceled. So there may be two seats up. Yeah.
I have a
was that-
question about that. So we ride the bus, and is there somebody to contact? We're definitely coming if there, something happens with our city bus route. If we're running,
Did you get that memo from Isaiah?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did you sign up for the bus?
Yes. But my point being that I ride the city bus to get to the bus.
No,
Yeah.
no, I understood what your point was, but
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to figure out why you didn't get the memo from Isaiah today.
I get a lot of mails. So.
Can you look to see if you got that, Janet? You don't need to do it right now. If you didn't get it, send me an email and I'll connect you with Isaiah.
Okay.
Because I think they'll provide you with their mobile number and such in case you run into any trouble.
Okay, thanks.
Trisha, did you still have a question or was that?
No, sorry, lower my hand.
No worries. Yes, Lila.
Hi. I was just wondering for the request to speak, if you wanted to actually speak in front of a committee, what do you have to prepare to do that? And like, what does that look like?
Yeah, and I can send you on our democracy, on the democracy webinar. We did go through a little bit about preparing testimony. It's actually pretty good. And there are some resources that she shared, but yeah, the advice is do prepare a little bit of something. Prepare for 3 minutes or less, and also be prepared for them to cut you to 2 minutes. That happens sometimes. We actually have had a few committees where they said you have 1 minute, which is very fast, but and yeah, just, you know, who you are, why you care, you know, a little something about the bill, and yeah, I think the you know, that's the main thing. I mean, but also it's important to include a little bit of your story. I know it's not very much time, but we often share facts and numbers, and I think we need to also be sure to include, you know, why we personally are taking time out of our day to be there on, and why an issue is important to us. So yeah, take a look, Lila, at that the democracy one, and I can also send you the document, some pointers on preparing testimony. And we
Okay,
may,
so I'll do that.
yeah, and we may do, when we used to do the lobby workshops in person, we would do role plays and practice meeting with legislators or testifying before committees. And I think that's really helpful. And so we may try to do that, you know, post Environmental Day, do a couple of those. I may actually try doing one virtually and see if we can make it work. But anyway, I think that's that can be helpful for people just to kind of get, you know, go through the process. I'd also encourage people to watch the committee hearings and watch other people testify, because I think that can also be helpful. You can learn a little bit about what to do and maybe also what not to do sometimes too.
Yeah, because you have like a really big impact, right? If you like actually go speak.
Yes, especially if you're someone who is just a regular person, just real people.
It
They are
sounds-
referred to as real people at the legislature. Yeah, let's see, I see Jean and then Trisha. Jean?
Yeah, the bills that you just talked about, all of the ones that you just talked about, are you going to be sending out information when they are about to be in committee? So we kind of wait until we get the notices from you to do the request to speak?
Yes, they, if you get my legislative updates, you will get that information in those updates. And also, I just gave you a heads up on one of them, 1066
Yes,
will be heard on Thursday.
yes, okay,
So, so yes,
okay, thank you. Very, very good.
all right, Trisha, then Kelly.
Yeah, I don't want to scare anyone off, but I have seen in committees when they see an ordinary person, and you're a newbie, I have seen the legislators grill you for details on the bill because they know you're not going to know. So that it can be hostile, just kind of give you a warning that might happen. So Just
And
be-
that's one of the things we prepare people for when we do the role play is the potential for a hostile chair. I think that, I mean, one of the things we tell people, not every question that you're asked is a fair question. You're not expected to know everything about everything. Not everyone does. If you get asked a question and you think it's a legitimate question that you don't know the answer to, you just say, I will get back to you with that information. I don't have it here right now today. So there's just a few little tips, but yeah, we definitely cover that. And Trish is right. I was just giving someone a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of a pep talk. He did a really good job testifying, but the legislators were trying to put words in his mouth that he did not say. And so, but I don't want people to be intimidated. We have ways of working through that. Yeah, Kelly.
Hi, thanks. I'm sorry if this information was already sent out or mentioned, but I haven't seen it. Recommended clothing. Is it recommended that we wear t-shirts that are environmentally friendly, or should we dress more professionally?
That's an excellent question, and I really should have included that. I included information about layering up.
Yeah.
I was more worried about everyone being cold, so
Or what to wear?
I think that it is what people should dress the way they're comfortable. Some people wear suits, some people wear, nicer pants and, a collared shirt and, but I don't want anyone to feel like they have to go buy clothing for this. And again, you're not, hired lobbyists who are making all this money so you can go out and, one thing I will say is wear comfortable shoes. And I know comfortable shoes are not always the most attractive, although some can be, but because, if you're going to different meeting with different legislators, you're going to be walking around a lot and you just want to keep your feet comfortable because having your feet hurt can ruin your whole day. So that's what I think anyway. So I always tell people to wear comfortable shoes.
Can I just ask, the specific question is, are t-shirts or shirts that have environmental or social justice messages on them, are they encouraged or not encouraged or neutral?
I think it's fine. The Chispa team usually wears their t-shirts. They have really pretty matching t-shirts that they usually wear. So I think it's fine to wear them. And you may get some positive comments, you may get some weird comment from someone too, but if you're comfortable, yeah, I think it's fine to wear those.
Thank you.
We're gonna have some buttons for everyone too. So they say save water, save life. They're really cool buttons. So hopefully that gave you enough. The only thing about the t-shirt is definitely layer though, because it's going to be chilly. So Heather.
Hi, I put my question in the chat. There are a few questions there, but I was thinking about reaching out to my representatives who I'll be meeting with on Thursday. I've not met with them before, and just introducing myself and letting them know I appreciate the chance to meet and looking forward to it, and maybe briefly voicing a little bit on my priorities. And I was wondering what you think about that in terms of pros or cons.
Oh,
thanks for organizing.
No, I think that's a great idea. The more you connect with your legislators, the better. That's the whole idea of really, you know, getting people into, yay, Trisha's gonna wear her Sierra Club Water Sentinels t-shirt. But the more, you know, I guess touch points, if you will, you have with legislators, the more they're going to get to know who you are. And it can help you get more of a response from them. At least, you know, it may not always be the response you wanted, but at least they, you know, don't ignore you. So yeah, I think that's a nice thing to do.
Thanks.
Not sure who is next. Richard, are you next?
Okay, I'll go next. You said something about setting up a follow-up meeting when you meet with your legislature. Would you explain exactly what each one of us? I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah, so we always encourage people. I'm going to try and do a better job this year of actually following up with people and see if they've been able to have follow-up meetings. But so the hope is that you connect with your legislators on Environmental Day and then periodically meet with them after that. It could be when they're doing something in district, maybe they do a coffee or they have a town hall, or you come to the Capitol another day and you're like, oh, while I'm there, I'd like to meet with my legislators. So that's what I mean by follow up. Also, for some of the legislators who could not meet on Environmental Day, we are going to really push for them to do a meeting with the legislative group that had signed up for today or for Environmental Day, and see if they'll do like a virtual meeting. So we're going to do that as well. But it's always good to, you know, have those ongoing meetings and try to connect with your legislators. And some legislators get out in the community more than others. So
Okay. Establish a relationship.
yeah, exactly. Anika.
I was just wondering what a follow-up meeting looks like. Like, are you talking about new things or are you referencing old things you talked about? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah, good question. It could be, so I included a link to a lobby report form as well. And if something comes up in the meeting that we need to follow up on, it could be a meeting to speak more about whatever that issue is. It could be a meeting, say, you talked about 2 or 3 of the water bills, but you really wanted them to know how important environmental justice is to you. So a follow-up meeting could be on a different topic as well.
Thank you. That really helps.
Sure. Let's see, I haven't looked at the chat. Are there any questions that I didn't answer in the chat? Are backpacks and bags allowed? This was in a direct message, but the answer is yes. When you go in the House of Representatives, you will have to go through a metal detector and they'll look through your bag. So you don't, so yeah, no weapons, obviously. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because it's Arizona. Sometimes you don't know, but yeah, no weapons. And as far as what you what you can bring into certain places. You can bring like your water bottle into the committee hearing rooms, but you can't actually take like a water bottle into the gallery where you watch the legislators when they're on the floor. But if you just leave the water bottle in your backpack, they're not going to take it away from you or anything. And you can leave it sitting outside outside the door. Oh yeah, reminder from Doug is for everyone to bring a little bit of water to for at the beginning. We'll be taking water and putting it into a shared bowl and using that to water the tree that we plant. So don't forget to bring a little bit of water. If you do forget, you could probably take a little bit of water out of your water bottle as well. But anyway, just wanted to remind you about that as well. But yes, backpacks are fine. Just be prepared. In the Senate, there isn't that. So it's just the House and then the executive tower where the governor's office is. So. Yes, Richard.
Yeah, again, Sandy, I'm just wondering, say, like in 3 months from now, something comes up that I want to talk to my legislature with, can you set up a meeting with them for that, or do you just send them an email or a phone call? Or I would think they would be swamped if everybody set up meetings with them.
You can set up a meeting. They might push it farther out. I think you probably have a better chance of getting a meeting if you're going in groups, you know, versus if you say, look, you know, we're a group of constituents from your district, or we're with this particular organization from your district. You probably will have a better shot at it, but you can request
Yeah,
an individual.
so when we go on Environmental Day and we talk to our legislator, then when you say set up a meeting, you mean as a group we set up a meeting with them, or individually? Do you understand?
The meetings that are set up are for the groups, for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
teams.
But
Yeah.
I mean, when we're in there talking to the legislator and we say we would like to set up a meeting with you, say in a week or something, or I don't know. Are you saying
Yeah,
it
I
is
would
as
just,
a group?
I would just hold off on that and really
Okay,
focus on the
okay,
issues. And yeah, it's do a phone call or an email
okay,
a week or so out. And yeah, because
okay,
they're not going to have their schedule right in front of them or anything like that. So their assistants are the ones that do the scheduling,
okay.
at least most of the time. All right. I was looking in the chat. Did I miss anything else? Maybe I got everything. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I think it will be a fun day at the Capitol. You can go, like I said, will be committee hearings happening. We'll provide that information to you that day as well. Or if you are interested, just let me know and I can get it to you ahead of time. They will go to the floor around 1:15. So if you're interested in watching them on the floor, I didn't organize it for all of us to try to do it because we're a very large group, but if you are interested, you can watch either the Senate or the House. They'll go to the floor and they may do a few bills that day as well. So All right, well, I'm really excited to see everybody, and if you have follow-up questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great night.
You too, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.